Hello everyone, and welcome to another Top 5 Records video. And today I'm going to be comparing two pressings of Queen News of the World. I'm going to be talking about the first UK pressing versus the first US pressing. Now, a while ago, I already did a video on the 2015 Queen box set and why you should avoid it, because it's a rather tempting box, and amongst Queen fans, I've seen a lot of people who walk away with it because Brian May, the guitar player, and Roger Taylor, the drummer, have given their approval to it. But what Queen is doing is they're giving a different kind of mastering for the time, having their ears set out on conquering Spotify territories and different kind of mastering ideas. So the dynamic is pushed out of these pressings. And the first time a friend of mine brought that box in, and he was very enthusiastic because Queen fans were enthusiastic. I heard it, and even comparing it to my Dutch pressings, my old Dutch pressings, I thought these are lifeless. Now, the quest for the better Queen pressings has begun. And in the news of the world, I actually never thought of buying a different pressing because everybody keeps telling me, at least that's what I read on the internet, that the first UKs are the best ones. I'll hold it up like this because I don't like the way it's pressed sideways. Now, this is the first one I bought. I never owned another copy of News of the World until about a week ago. I coincidentally bought a first UK, and it's a solid, gorgeous sounding pressing. Seriously, it's very, very good. There's a lot of detail. It sounds very dryish, much drier than A Day at the Races or A Night at the Opera. But then again, that was the idea behind this record. Queen noticed that their grandiose rock was getting out of touch with the time. And while they were recording it, they were actually recording at the Abbey Road Studios next to the Sex Pistols, with a furious Sid Vicious walking in on the sessions and asking Freddie Mercury if he was bringing ballet to the masses again. They looked down on Queen because they thought this is the old generation. To which Freddie Mercury responded, "What are you talking about, Mister Ferocious?" or something like that. Now, they realized it, so they decided we're not going to polish this album as much as we did with the other ones. They went for a punkier approach, and instead of doing 100 takes on a song, they would end at 20 or 30 takes. I mean, that's the perfectionism of Queen. Now, that means that this album has a different sound. It's a lot drier, and you can hear the dryness on the UK very much. I like that dryness. They can sometimes sound very good dry. Now, the guitar is always full and warm, and it has a nice high, a very nice low, a lot of detail, and to a certain extent, you hear a lot of room. So, why would I try another pressing? Well, very simple reason. Some of the Queen albums are exceptions to the first UK rule. For example, The Game sounds better on the first US. Also, I've listened to the first US jazz pressing, and not having a first UK there, I can't do a proper video about that. But the first US of jazz sounds so good, and as their music is actually changing in the second half of the 70s and also in the early 80s, and the stage they want to present it, like this is the story of Brian May, which was written down in their biography. Brian May noticed that their songs, somewhere halfway in the 70s, did not sound as good when he walked into a club. Now, Mercury went all clubbing in the late 70s, going to all the New York gay bars. So he also wanted a songs that would sound better in clubs. And club has more, sometimes sometimes more bass, more mid. It's more mid oriented. And later in the 80s, they start to make more radio songs. So also the sound of their mastering is changing, and what their music sound like. And Music World is somewhat a transgressional record. It's not the sound wise where Jazz in the Game is, but it's also not the full ground rock element anymore. So I was very curious what a first US would sound like, and I found one for just $5 last week, and this is that copy. It's the SRC logo printed on the that wax, and this is interesting because you can hear a philosophy difference in the mastering. The British has an overall grandiose soundstage from high, mid to low. This is more mid oriented, more detail in the mid, and that makes for a different experience. I have the idea that Mercury's vocals here are more detailed than the British one. That doesn't mean that I necessarily prefer this one above the British one, because there's more going on a Queen album than just the vocals. But somehow the sound of it is a little bit smoother, a little bit warmer, and I really, really notice the difference in vocals. I also have the idea that the British one has a higher difference in dynamics, like it has more dynamics than this one. So the golden rule of the first UKs being the best of Queen, I think I want to dive deeper into that because there is more going on. And though I still prefer the first UK, if I want to listen to Mercury's vocals, I'll put on this first US especially. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have you heard other Queen pressings that I should check out? Because the world of Queen is not as well written down as, for example, the world of the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, though they are one of the big bands I want to hear them in the best way. So please leave a comment below and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.